risk management strategies in our future projects. We have considered that, but the level of impact of the security risks we have seen is not something we have really strategized to manage to that level, and I think this is something that we should consider in future projects. Project preparation. The project was declared effective when we have not finished actually all the design and preparation of the contract documents and the studies and the rest. And 2 years into the implementation period, some of the major construction works were still at the design stage, and this has really affected this. And this is why from this learning, part of the requirements for SPIN is to make sure that projects that are coming under scheme have already have their designs and the documents and everything ready. Advocacy for the National Water Resources Bill. This is something we have been struggling for really quite some years, and especially the Honorable Engineer Suleiman H. Adamu has done a lot to try to push this through the National Assembly, but I think we need a little bit more interaction and to make sure that this has happened. Extended implementation period. At the very beginning, the trimming project was considered really a very cumbersome project, and really it was. And the implementation period envisaged that time, 7 years, I think we have not allowed reasonably adequate time to implement the project. And this is why we had a couple of extensions from 7 years to now about almost 10 years. Yes, the project is rounding up end of June this year. We have been able to make it, and the PDOs are certainly achieved. But it means that in future design of our plan of our project, we should find a way to allow more realistic time. The SPIN that is coming, though in terms of the objectives, or the, let me call it the density of the project, is not much more than the trimming, but in terms of spread, now we are dealing with 21 states, and definitely it's going to affect our implementation period. And it's really important to critically look at the implementation plan being proposed for 5 years. Now, the challenges I want to focus on, or the presentation focus these challenges on, especially the institutional development, which is the last piece of the puzzle we have not yet solved. And we feel some inputs and comments should focus more on this, because this is what's remaining that's critical for the project. Who are employees have a low rate of pay for now, most of this being volunteers, and it's really very difficult to get commitment through this kind of effort. And I think it's important to see what could be changed, could be done to change this. UWA representatives are the backbone of the UWAs and serve a link between the general farming community and the UWA employees, and therefore have dual responsibilities: the scheme operation at the irrigation block level, and the billing and the collection of irrigation service fees. And transparency in the joint management of funds for financing the maintenance of bulk infrastructure. I have mentioned this. This is one of the indicators that is still lagging among the two that I have said, because it needs full participation of the UWAs and with the RBDS. It has not started happening at the moment. Farmers' misconception of cascading grant as replacement to irrigation service fee despite persistent sensitization and engagement. Issues related to management of transforming changes, especially acclimatization with new roles by the frontline institutions and organizations, such as the RBDS and NUAS. Sustainability of irrigation service fee recovery rate, right pricing, ability, and willingness interdependencies. Is the pricing right? Is it affordable? The farmers willing? You have to have a kind of optimization within this. And then some of the project-wide challenges, I've talked about security challenges. non-passage of the National Water Resources Bill, unauthorized water diversion by farmers. We are doing trying to see how we can, currently there's a consultant at the field doing some studies to see how some of these so-called informal water users could actually be formalized in a way so that we see them like additional beneficiaries. To what level can we allow that for each scheme is very peculiar, and what discussion will have to happen before we integrate them into the Water User Association. All of these are now happening at the field, including cadastral survey of those areas, and see how we can actually integrate them into the UAS. Difficulties of stakeholders, particularly government agencies, in adapting to required changes. This is also one of the critical challenges. Like I keep saying, we have realized that participation, more involvement, and more engagement is the key. Low awareness of the delegation authority issued by the Minister of Water Resources on the part of enforcing agencies, leading to weak fee collections. These are some before and after pictures from the intervention. And then, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this elaborate presentation on the experiences of the TRIMIN project in Nigeria, that is a transforming irrigation in Nigeria. You may want to know that the irrigation architecture in Nigeria is managed by the River Basin Development Authorities spread across the country. And this particular project worked on only 3 of them, mainly in the northern part of the country. But for us to have a better perspective of what is happening also, or a more detailed perspective of what's happening in other River Basin Development Authorities, we would like to invite the Inspectorate Department of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to give us a presentation on the River Basin operations and Inspectorate operations. The headphones. Okay. I've just been asked to announce that for those that would want translations, maybe from English to French or other languages, you can show up your hand so that we'll give you the earphones for translations. Thank you very much. Please indicate so. So may I invite the representative or the director of the River Basin Operation and Inspectorate Department of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to give us the field experiences of and challenges of the Irrigation River Basin Development Authorities in Nigeria. Please, we are to close this session by at most 1:30. And I would urge that we really go straight to the point and give us the key points and experiences so that we'll be able to cover some of the other presentations. We still have about 4 or 5 to cover. Thank you very much. Please carry on.
Okay. Yeah.
Do like this, move forward. Do like it backwards.
It is forward. Good afternoon, sirs. I am Engineer Yar'AduaCentre, representing my director, Engineer Christy Omeno-Odu. Engineer Christy Omeno-Odu, Director, River Basin Operations and Inspectorate. I am to deliver this paper based on the theme, Field Experiences and challenges experienced at the River Basin Development Authorities. I want to beg to stand on the already established protocol, please. And my paper goes in this form. The first aspect of it is the abstract. As you may know, Nigeria's agricultural potential remains underexploited due to inadequate irrigation infrastructure, poor management, and reliance on rain-fed farming. This paper explores how participatory irrigation management can address operational challenges in public irrigation schemes, enhance rural development, and bolster food security. By analyzing case studies, policy frameworks, and socioeconomic factors, the paper advocates for decentralized, farmer-inclusive governance models supported by capacity building and climate-resilient practices. As a form of introduction, you know, Nigeria's agricultural sector employs about 70% of the population, but constitutes only 23% to GDP, reflecting inefficiencies tied to erratic rainfall and underdeveloped irrigation. Less than 2% of arable land is irrigated. Nigeria's agriculture is primarily rain-fed, making it vulnerable to climate variability. Irrigation is crucial for stabilizing agricultural output, increasing crop yields and food supply, providing employment in rural areas, and enhancing resilience against climate change and droughts. Despite this importance, only about 1% of Nigeria's 70 million hectares of arable land is under irrigation, far below the potential. Public irrigation schemes are vital for agricultural development in Nigeria, aiming to enhance food production and support rural livelihoods. However, many of these schemes face significant challenges related to their operation, management, and maintenance, leading to suboptimal performance, inefficiencies, and poor water distribution. This paper explores these challenges and highlights how participatory irrigation management, a strategy that involves local farmers and stakeholders in irrigation governance, can improve sustainability, increase productivity, and boost food security. Evolution of irrigation in Nigeria. As you may know, irrigation development in Nigeria dates back to colonial times, with significant expansion occurring in the post-independence era to boost food production. Major irrigation schemes were developed under river basin development authorities, including 1, Hadejia-Jamare Irrigation Project, Kano River Irrigation Project, Middle Rima Valley Irrigation Project, Goronyo Dam Irrigation Scheme. These irrigation initiatives were established to boost agricultural productivity and ensure food security, aimed to provide year-round water for farming. Yet, many have suffered from poor operation and maintenance, leading to a decline in their effectiveness. Socioeconomic importance. Agricultural development. Irrigation is crucial for stabilizing agricultural output, especially in areas with unpredictable rainfall patterns. Food security. Reliable irrigation system directly influence food availability and affordability. Then rural development. Effective irrigation can stimulate local economies, create employment opportunities, and improve living standards. Then challenges in operation, management, and maintenance of public irrigation schemes. 1, institutional and governance. Centralized management Government-controlled schemes often exhibit bureaucratic inefficiencies, delaying critical decisions and actions. Lack of accountability. As you may know, there are overlapping responsibilities among federal, state, and local agencies, which can lead to mismanagement and then lack of clear accountability. Then we have fragmented responsibilities. The irrigation scheme, the irrigation sector is managed by multiple agencies, including the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, the River Basin Development Authorities, and state governments, leading to poor coordination. Then we have bureaucratic inefficiencies. Slow decision-making process hinder timely intervention in repairs, water allocation, and financial management. We also have weak legal frameworks. That is a lack of clear policies on water rights, user charges, and responsibilities, weakens accountability. We also have a financial constraint as a challenge. This includes inadequate funding. Government funding for irrigation scheme is often insufficient, leading to delays in maintenance and system failures. Poor cost recovery. Many of our farmers, they don't pay the cost involved in using the water as at when due. And this affects the irrigation infrastructure or for the cost recovery from the infrastructures installed. We also have a dependence on external support. Many of our irrigation schemes depend on donor agencies and international organizations for maintenance, making sustainability difficult. We also have technical and infrastructure deficiencies. Most of our irrigation infrastructures were installed long ago, and most of them are aging out. They are aging, and they need maintenance and even replacement. Poor drainage systems. A situation whereby we have a drainage which is not properly installed, it will affect the productivity of the agricultural land. And this will affect agricultural product if the drainage is poor, which may sometimes lead to salinization. We also have socio-cultural and community participation barriers. Limited farmer involvement. Farmers often have little say in water distribution and management decisions. Low awareness and training. Many rural farmers lack the technical know-how to maintain irrigation infrastructures. Conflicts over water use. Poor water governance results in disputes between farmers, herders, and rural and local authorities. We also have socio-cultural and participation challenges. Limited community involvement. Top-down management approaches often exclude local communities, reducing their sense of ownership and responsibility. Skill gaps. A lack of technical expertise among local farmers and operators hampers effective participation and management. Impact on rural development and food security. Economic impact. Increased agricultural productivity. Effective irrigation leads to higher crop yields and the possibility of multiple cropping seasons. Income generation. Enhanced productivity translates to increased income for farmers and related businesses. Food security enhancement. Reliable food supply, consistent reliable food supply. Consistent irrigation supports steady food production, reducing seasonal shortages. Diversification of crops. Access to irrigation allows for the cultivation of a variety of crops, improving dietary diversity and nutrition. Social development. Empowerment of communities. Active participation in irrigation management empowers communities, fostering social cohesion and collective problem solving. Infrastructure improvement. Successful irrigation projects can lead to the development of additional infrastructure, such as roads and markets, further supporting rural development. Then case studies and empirical evidences. One, we have Bacolori irrigation project. Initial top-down management caused conflicts. That is post-2000 reforms involving farmers, improved water distribution. Kano irrigation scheme. Water Users Association reduced water disputes and increased rice yields by 40%. Financial contributions. Farmers contributed an annual average of 0.58 million naira for maintenance, while management increased for.
Sorry for just trying to summarize.
Okay. Then we also have policy and institutional recommendations. I will just mention just a few of the policies. Policy reforms, capacity building, partner with NGOs for farmer training and leadership development. Funding models, blend public funds, user fees, and donor support. That is a World Bank project. Gender inclusion, reservoir leadership roles for women and promote literacy programs. Climate resilience and technology integration. Solar-powered pumps, reduce diesel dependency and costs. Drip irrigation, pilot projects in arid regions, e.g. Sokoto, to optimize water use. Early warning systems, use mobile tech to alert farmers to droughts. Then in conclusion, I want to say that participatory irrigation management offers a pathway to revitalize Nigeria's irrigation schemes, aligning with SDGs on poverty reduction and food security. Success requires political will, inclusive policies, and investments in farmer empowerment. By embracing participatory irrigation management, Nigeria can unlock its agricultural potential, transforming rural communities into hubs of resilience and productivity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for that presentation. We were a little bit wary about timings. I want to urge presenters to please keep to time, 10, 15 minutes at most, please, so that we will be able to cover others, because it's already past noon now. I don't know the representative of the National Water Resources, Nigeria Integrated Water Resources Management Commission. Is the representative here? Please, can you upload the paper for us? Please keep to time, 10, 15 minutes at most, so that we can give opportunities. I want to know whether the representative of the Federal Ministry of Agric is here. Okay, thank you very much. Please come forward and take a seat around here. Yeah. Thank you. Please keep to time, 10 minutes.
Yes. Good afternoon, all. I want to stand on already established protocols. My name is Yar'AduaCentre James. I am standing in for the Acting Executive Director, Nigeria Integrated Water Resources Management Commission. She had to just quickly step out for an urgent matter. I'll be talking on regulation of water resources management in Nigeria as it relates to the participatory irrigation management. The flow of my presentation is an introduction, legal instrument, institutional rules, challenges in water resource management and participatory irrigation management regulation in Nigeria, rule of PIM, and take some case studies and give some recommendations. I would also love to speak to the paper because of time. Nigeria is endowed with enormous irrigable land, and adequate water resources to actually make this usable and to get adequate food security. But with this, management and regulation of management have been facing some key challenges. But with the introduction of participatory irrigation management, which allows the active involvement of farmers and local communities, allowing them to play crucial roles in the planning and operation and ongoing maintenance of irrigation systems. This paper will look at the regulatory landscape of water resources management in Nigeria and examine, particularly within the framework of PIM. It will also examine the existing legal framework of both PIM and and water resources management. The legal instrument for water resources, first of all, is vested for the regulation of water resources is vested on the Minister of the Federal Republic of the Minister of Water Resources for the regulatory entity for water resources in Nigeria. And to that effect, the Honorable Minister in Section 19 of the Water Resources Act 2004 has vested these regulatory powers by Section 17 to the Nigeria Integrated Water Resources Management Commission for effective regulation of water resources in Nigeria. And the framework aims to foster the responsible management of water, ensuring that it is used in a way that supports ecological balance while also enhancing economic opportunities. A critical focus is placed on the adequate allocation of water resources by some legal instruments and also some technical instruments by the use of licensing of water users and uses in Nigeria, while promoting the principles of integrated water resources management. And other policy guidelines include the National Water Policy 2004 and 2016, which also encourages the use of participatory irrigation management while also ensuring the effective allocation of water. And we have the National Irrigation Policy and Strategy 2016, which is designed to advance sustainable irrigation development across Nigeria. It emphasizes significance of participatory irrigation, optimizing water use efficiency, mitigating conflict among various stakeholders. To effectively administer these policies and legal instruments, the federal ministry, there are different institutions that play different roles. And the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation that is tasked with the developing and executing of national water resources policies and programs, and the role involves oversight functions of irrigation infrastructure and development in Nigeria. And also the Nigeria Integrated Water Resources Management Commission. The Commission is an organization established under the authority of the National Water Resources Act, as I said before, and its primary mission is to enhance and synchronize the regulation and management of water resources and ensure equitable distribution. The Commission aims to achieve this in a manner that is both economically viable, environmentally sustainable, and environmentally sustainable. This involves careful responsible utilization of water, land, and other related environmental resources associated with the national and international systems by promoting effective governance and strategic initiatives. The Commission seeks to balance the diverse needs of communities, industries, ecosystem dependence on these critical water infrastructures. And we also have the River Basin Development Authorities. They are 12 in number, and they are the ones at the federal level that are tasked with the development and management of sustainable water utilization within their distinct geographical regions, that's why I say that there are 12 in number. And we have the state water agencies that are responsible for the effective management of water resources at the subnational level. They are the ones that actually carry out this implementation at their regions. They also have their own enabling acts at the state level, and some of them also have the regulations for water use at their state level. And we also have the local government. The state government and the local government are the ones that are responsible for the water users associations. Their implementation strategy relies more on the use of participatory approach to the water users, carrying along farmers and other stakeholders at the state and local government levels. The challenges that water resources management face as it regards regulation in Nigeria, I just want to speak to some of them. Weak enforcement. The enforcement of water and irrigation regulations often falters, grappling with serious challenges that stems from institutional capacity, widespread corruption, a troubling absence of political commitment, which has mostly been mentioned since the first day. In this fragile system, the rule of law is undermined, giving a disturbing array of violations, including water pollution, illegal diversion of water resources. These, as a commission, we have experienced some of these. When we go to field, sometimes we had a situation where we had water diversion situation, and when we tried to intervene, by the tail end of our intervention to know who is responsible for the diversion, there was a call that for now we should stand down, that steps are being taken. These are things that hamper effective regulation of water resources in Nigeria, because if you don't hold whoever is responsible for certain violations, it becomes difficult to manage these resources. And inadequate funding is a key challenge, because in Nigeria, funding, especially water resources development, irrigation development, needs adequate funding for sustainability. And I would love to appreciate what the trimming project has been doing. They've been able to develop models, and I'm sure that the transition to hand over to the farmers will definitely, from what we just heard in the last presentation, the first presentation, that the transition to get the farmers to also own some of these things, it will adequately enhance the participation and the sustenance of these projects. Limited stakeholder participation. Although the Water Users Association that has been established through the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, the Irrigation Department, and the Trimming Project have been increasingly being accepted, because I think 4 has been established and strengthened in Enugu, at Ilorin, at Ibadan, and last year at Uyo. So we've been having more stakeholders, and the Commission has been actively involved to ensure that these water users are properly integrated, and different regulatory instruments have been also introduced to them. Then climate change, definitely climate change has been a major challenge, because with the trend of the rainfall patterns that we have been having, Like last year, there was, There was a dry spell at some time, and there were floodings. This will go a long way to affect the yield of farmers. And climate change over the years, and I'm sure that some of the programs and policies that we have been implementing have been geared towards adapting to climate resilience. The role of PIM, I would love to quickly mention, we have been hearing this since on Monday, but I would quickly want to go through the role of PIM in sustainable rural development, economic growth, and food security. It's number one, it has improved the water use efficiency by this technology drive, the sprinkler and the drip irrigation. It has, the approach has sensitized farmers to actually engage in a more efficient way of water use so that they can have more yield. At the youth forum yesterday, the moderator said something, made a situation where he had the student that he was supervising, and he said that that there was a possibility of them having rice season 4 times in the year. So that is another way that we can improve crop use, and they went through the sprinkler and the drip irrigation for that purpose. Then it enhanced agricultural productivity. Definitely there will be more practices, there will be more food to be produced. Just as I said, there are more yield for the farmers, there are more turnover times for the farmers to actually produce their crops. And it reduces conflicts. The PIM, for everyone that uses water, it gives rights to every water user while addressing right of way, who to use water and when to use water, which is by effective allocation of the water resources.
Try to summarize, please.
Yes, and empowerment of local communities. I would love to just talk about a case study, but the case study has already been identified with by the trimming, the successful story of the Adida-Jamari River Basin through the Kano Valley Irrigation Project and the Adija Valley Irrigation Project. The lessons, let me just go to lessons learned, that successful regulation necessitates the active involvement of various stakeholders, including community members, businesses, and government agencies. This collaboration ensures that diverse perspectives are considered in decision-making process. Now, some of the recommendations are strengthening of legal and institutional framework. If the enabling law, just as we heard during the training project, the enabling law through the Water Resources Bill will empower the Commission to actually carry out its function fully and enhance stakeholder participation. Just as we have said, the strengthening, which have started by the Department of Irrigation and Drainage in collaboration with the trimming project, is to further enhance and have a better widespread of this, the Water Users Association. Then increased funding for water resources management and PIM. We cannot say this enough. It is very, very important. We need to keep funding and increase the funding so that we can have better and good agricultural output. Then promote IWRM, because it takes the aspect of inclusivity at every level, both at national, subnational, and local levels. Then strengthening monitoring and enforcement. We need legal frameworks. We need legal instruments to actually be able to achieve the goal that the Commission, so that the use of water will be better managed and used. In conclusion, the regulation of water resources management in Nigeria is particularly crucial when viewed through the lens of PIM. This is essential for fostering sustainable rural development, stimulating economic growth, and ensuring food security across the nations. Additionally, there are issues related to inadequate infrastructure and financing, as well as the need for capacity building among stakeholders in water resources management. And by embracing a integrated approach to water resource and irrigation management, Nigeria stands to improve its regulation framework significantly. This approach should focus on enhancing collaboration among government agencies, local communities, and other stakeholders. Such collective efforts can lead to more equitable access to communities, more equitable access to water resources, and foster sustainable practice that improve agricultural productivity while safeguarding ecosystems. Thus, an integrated strategy can ultimately support Nigeria in realizing its goals for sustainable development and ensuring long-term viability of its water resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much once more. We are moving on, but we believe that I still want to emphasize the need for timing. What we want is for presenters to concentrate more on their experiences in exercising their mandates that relate to irrigation, rather than going into the theories of all those approaches and principles. I believe that will help to save our time and be able to appreciate what you are doing in the field, what are the challenges you are facing, and what efforts you are putting to overcome them. So with this, I would like to say that in Nigeria here we have a whole institute that is mandated to train and build capacity of personnel that have a stake in the irrigation subsector. That institute is the National Water Resources Institute, based in Kaduna, in central Nigeria. I would like to invite the representative of that institute to come and talk to us about training and skills acquisition in water resources management in Nigeria. Are you done? Thank you very much. Is this presentation here? Have you submitted?
Yes, absolutely. NWRI. Yeah.
If you push like this, you are going forward. Sure.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the Honorable Minister. I want to thank you very much and very distinguished guests. I will be looking at the training skills of the Water Resources Institute. For those people who are just knowing us, who are visitors, the Institute is going to be the outline. I mean, just a little bit of introduction, what we have done so far as regards the capacity building, what are the specific roles in terms of water sector, education, and of course, evolution in terms of curriculum development in some of those areas. We will also look at the future direction of the capacity buildings within the institute as affect all the sectors, water resources, then few, recommendations. The background, the institute was established first of all as an agency under the Ministry of Water Resources, then actually department, 79. Later on evolved in 2004 when most of all those things were actually coalesced into Act in 2004, and of course by 1995 actually established under the military, mainly for capacity building, mainly for research, mainly for every aspect that revolved in terms of advisory to the Honorable Minister. Of course, the vision is very clear, capacity building research, and with all this, trying to ensure that it's conform with integrated water resources management. The Institute, just giving some of those mandates, as I did mention, I don't want to go into all that. The structures is actually in accordance with what is supposed to be doing in terms of the various departments, in terms of those that are main core are supporting, and of course the academic departments, basically training, research, then some of those important aspects, especially the new ones, because after some accreditation, there was a need for us to
fully utilize the facilities at the Institute. Agric and bioenvironmental was included. We also have surveying and geoinformatics, surveying, and of course, water resources and environmental engineering. We also have some specialized centers that concentrate on some of those areas, like the UNESCO Regional Category B Center. We also have the rural water supply and sanitation, and of course, leakages and collaboration, in addition to hydraulic modeling, because we find that most of even agricultural structures, most of our things are being modeled abroad, and there was a need for us to have that particular center where you can do quite a lot of modeling, and of course, with other hydraulical investigations. The capacity building network was actually to have a collaboration with universities in terms of capacity building, in terms of research. And we also affiliated with quite a lot of other institutions, both locally and abroad. We would like, as we move on, and the institute is actually centers of excellence with regard to water supply, agriculture, and the rest of them. Very brief when it comes to the management of water resources, quite complex and multifaceted, and of course there's a need for you to acquire the skill based on evolving curriculums and skills that are quite relevant to today's food production and food security. With a population almost 9.7 in the world, and of course with putting at this the pressure of water resources with the demand in terms of water supply, for example. When agriculture, over 70% of the water that you have is good for agriculture and irrigation. So there's a need for you to keep evolving in terms of what you have. In terms of the educational aspect, deliberately we've looked at the curriculum that we have compared with what we have in outside and see how we can modify it and of course upgrade some new ones. We also did some acquisition skills that are quite relevant. These days you have to talk of smart agriculture and of course water conservation that can be used. And these are the areas we try to look at when we are doing the capacity buildings. We look at the various roles and of course try as much as possible to look at the Nigerians, areas of priorities. And this has been one of the cardinal points in terms of our own existence. And we try as much as possible to regulate some of those collaborations along these lines. What are the main rules? For the capacity building at the various levels, we have what we call the regular, where most of the issues of water capacity are built in water supply, both for normal use and of course for agricultural purposes. We have some certificates. We have the national diploma certificates, and of course the higher national diploma. Then recently we have some what we call the integrated water resources management at the postgraduate and MSc level. We are operating this under the auspices of the collaboration with Nigerian Defense Academy and of course the various capacity building network with 6 major universities in each of the geopolitical zones at the moment. Secondly, we tried as much as possible to visualize this so that we're moving you to the institute so that you can see some of the things and how they move on. For example, most of our capacity building are skilled and hand online, so that it's not just theoretical, but you've seen exactly and you try to replicate what you have in the field. We try to give you some statistics of some of the capacity building we've done right from the inception to date, and you can see the various aspects. And in most of all those aspects, there are components that has to do with agriculture, those are water resources and smart irrigation movements. We also very well in terms of capacity building for the West African sub-region. We'll be very, very active for Sierra Leone, Liberia. And of course, we've used the RARA that we have here as a practical test in some of these capacity building. So it's not just abstract. And those of them from the foreign countries like Ethiopia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Niger, and Gambia has also benefited. And these are some of the statistics over the years. In terms of short courses, quite a lot of them. Some of them are physically in terms of water supply, small, and of course in terms of urban water supply system, then irrigation, and of course the various water users organization and what they need to do and what they need to learn. And some of these statistics and of course in terms of the capacity building for the short courses. The short courses are quite many and I don't want to go over them, but then look at the graph. Right from when we started effectively, and some of them are supported by the various organizations and the projects. One of the things we notice when a project is supported, there's always the likelihood of having capacity in terms of the higher number of people to be trained who are interested. And of course, capacity building, budget vote are normally one of the casualties where money is actually needed. So sometimes when you ask organizations to support most of their staff, we find it quite difficult sometimes. The Youth Empowerment Program is one of those ones that started in 2010 and with a very concise, directive in terms of what we are supposed to do, so that we can encourage quite a lot of youth employment. And over the years, we've done deliberately areas that are quite important in terms of water sources, both for domestic, for agriculture, and other uses. For example, the water well drilling, the household managers, welding and rig fabrication, and most of this fabrication has been done so that you can do quite a lot of drilling activities within the Fadama that are used for irrigation purposes. And of course, coupled with that in terms of what you have, like the hand pump, the solar pump, and of course, all those pumps that are quite useful in terms of their own installation. These are just some examples of some fabricated rig within the institute and the various participants that has actually participated in some of these. We have the plumbing, the different types, just to put them in terms of the picture that you have in here. And of course, at the end of the day, there's a starter pack. For example, like the household managers, at the end of the day, they have what you have the normal toolbox as part of the training, so that when they go out, they can go to the Fadama, install most of those pumps, for example, and also make resources and livelihood for themselves. This is just giving you statistics of what we have done up to 2024. The one for 2025 is actually being compiled at the moment. The induction course. Here, anybody that's employed, especially from the ministry and the agency, they come in there to look at hand-form information in terms of what area do they want to specialize. Some of them are quite interested in dam, in farming, and the rest of them. So we take them around so that somebody in water supply know what exactly irrigation is doing. And this is what we call the induction course, which is very useful, especially for new entrants into the water sector. We try to give you some courses that we ran over the years and with the various statistics that you have here. Also, the specific in terms of just, as I did mention, when it comes to meteorology, focusing, for example, on what prediction in terms of meteorology, in terms of rainfall, these are all done so that they can have a hand exactly on what they are supposed to do. And when they return back to their various establishments, it's nothing quite new to them. We also have what we call the project specific. We started with the Fadama 1, 2, 3, and 4. We remember at that time, in the 80s, most of those who were actually trained on how you can get groundwater source from the Fadama in terms of computation. You'll be surprised, for example, that some Fadama are quite productive. You having as much as 9, 8, 10 liters per second. If you go to Kazare, just on the left as you are entering, those are all production. Go to Kwe, for example. You have quite a lot of that. So that formed quite a lot of groundwater sources that aided in terms of Fadama production for agricultural and the rest of them. I try to give also the summary or some specific in terms of the various small towns that we had and the various short courses within those projects. So that is also part of it. We have also the outreach. So sometimes you don't need to come to the institute, we come and meet you. And we kind of organize most of those capacity buildings. The outreach is also tailored so much in terms of the capacity that we're having. We also have what we call the capacity building network with 275 already trained within the university in collaboration with us. The regional center, which is the category B center of the UNESCO, has also participated, and as of to date, over 589 participants from 16 countries has also participated in terms of water supply, irrigation, and so on. The rural water supply aspect, with support from JICA, has also affected in terms of the number of boreholes they are supposed to produce. Like Kano, for example, they derived more than half of those to irrigation purposes. And these are just some of the examples that all with equipment all provided so that they can facilitate most of what they have. Groundwater development is also from there. The cabinet, because the institute is also Center of Excellence, with a lot of participation, with over 201 participants already trained under this program that we have. In terms of 4%, almost 34 to 40%. And these are normally determined based on the ecological factors that you have, these rock unit that you have, and this has also helped us in terms of determining the various level of siltation that you have within the reservoirs. The other ones are just some facilities that have assisted us in terms of the capacity building, like the lecture theater that we have, some of the smaller conferences centers that are used where you have a lot of people who also come for studies. They can be doing simultaneously with this. With the Modeling Center, of course, incidentally, our former minister, it's been named after him, Suleiman, where you have quite a lot of models in terms of agriculture, for example, in terms of water supply needs, and of course, the various aspects that concern the Modeling Center. You give you examples of most of the drones. There are some areas, for example, you might not be able to use some of those ships, some of those boats, so you might have to use drones to be able to determine the level of siltation. These are just the equipment that we provided in the Institute for most of what we are talking about. The 5, of course, we try as much as possible that most of the participants are resident within the Institute, like the 50-bedroom student hostel with all facilities, and I think it was also commissioned from our program. Then the Sogai Farm model. This is very critical for us. We visited the Benin, the Songhai itself, and we try to replicate what we have in most of these. Some of the crops that are not native within those areas, we try to kind of transfer and see the viability. What is the water use? Is this smart in terms of water conservation and all that? These are some of the examples that we have done, and we're trying to give some of those. This is also part of what we have in the Songhai farms. Our hydroponics. Sometimes, this is very important. We had a demonstration right in the stands. The most important is to have nutrients for most of what you have. If you could get a lot of vegetable without putting them within the soil, and these are very good examples. We've tried as much as possible that this is possible, but we also have a lot of cultural barriers. Some farmers will tell you, if it's not the soil, the crop is not going to be good. If it's not this, it's not good. But these are things we can always talk about, and we try to explain to them. Some of the training facilities that we have at the Institute, the UNESCO Category B Center, and of course, these are all gray areas where we look at some of the taifa grasses and see how they can be used in terms of pollution studies, in terms of extracting, instead of treating contaminated gray water, but we're using the taifa grass, for example, to ensure that we use in terms of treatment of this. One of the other aspects is the issue of flooding. Because if your whole farm is flooded, of course, nobody will be interested. It's quite a lot of colossal waste. So we have this flood mark program, and of course, we have continued with it. We've established quite some in Makurdi, Onitsha. As we are speaking, I think the one of Abeokuta has been installed. So this tells you exactly, just like your kilometer mileage, and see whether you are the red, yellow, or you are quite safe in terms of those who are staying there. Sedimentary studies, these are all part of it in the booth being demonstrated, as you see. See part of it, youth empowerment program, giving certificates, and of course, what they need. These are just to carry it back to the Institute. Some of the capacity buildings I did mention, are also being carried out. Refabrication within the workshop, the portable rigs, the normal big rig, collaboration. We have quite a lot of collaboration with the Nigerian Defense Academy and other institutions, both in Nigeria and, of course, outside, like the Hungarian service centers. In terms of that, we have quite a lot of collaboration that we extend quite a lot of goodwill. Locally, too, we also have, and we extend quite a lot of issues. Capacity building in most of these UNESCO regional centers. Jabi Lake. This is a place that UNESCO is so much interested, and we try to look at, we're trying to look at how we can use eco-hydrology in terms of purification to ensure that the environment is quite safe for everybody. These are just the conferences at the end. We invite everybody for the conference, and at the moment, this is the 10th one we are having, the 12th, what we have in Yola. And as at present, we've also participated, almost 2,949 has actually participated in this. Induction course I did mention. Commissioning, I think you see the Honorable Minister commissioning some of those projects that we have. Human resources, we don't take it for granted. And some of the water quality assessments that we have. What are the constraints? Normal. Sometimes you have the top a little bit heavy, and employment you have to get from this. But I think the ministry have been trying its best, and we try to replace as we move along. Things are just, space is a normal thing, but I think we are managing with what we have. Conclusion. I think training and skill is a continuous process. And as long as you recognize what are the areas in terms of government policy and you try to fit in. So you change your mode of capacity building, develop curriculum that are up to date with international standards. Personnel working under the water sector, they need to be well coordinated, good environment, and also give them complete training, they will do better. Technology is very important. We need to also investigate in terms of priority that we have. Institutional assessment is very crucial. And with this, higher institution, not only training those that are just for theoretical purposes, but you have to bring the classroom into the field, and you try to see what you have. Education is continuous. We carry periodic human resources assessment to determine. So you don't just carry a capacity building when there's no need for it. And at the end, there's a need for human resources auditing so that we can develop exactly using what we need to do to achieve more. I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director of Nigerian Water Resources Institute, for this aerial view of the institute that is responsible for training our water resources personnel. As we move on, I will still continue to insist that please try to be brief, because we are trying to gain a lot of time so that we will be able to finish within the allotted time. I am sure many of you are aware of the fact that as a result of the climate change issues and so on, there are many instances of floods in Nigeria. And flooding is one of the major phenomena that has a major impact on irrigation as well as other rainfed activities. I would like to therefore invite the representative of the Nigerian Institute of Hydrological Service Agency, if he's here, to make his presentation. We expect to hear him on flooding, mitigation, and adaptation for sustainable irrigated agriculture. Thank you very much. Please keep to time, 10 minutes, please. 10 minutes so that we catch up with our times. Thank you. Yeah. Is it there? Nice. Can you identify? Is it the one?
No. Can you go back? Yeah, okay.
Is it the one? No, this is not. We'll get out of. video.
Okay, this
The top
number 2.
Number 2.
Okay.
This is so sensitive. Is it this one?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
How do I go to next?
Let him project it first.
Okay.
Can you close?
Okay, yeah. That's one. This one.
The text. It's not PowerPoint. Okay, you go PDF.
Yeah, go to PDF. Yes.
Sorry. We're having a small hitch here, so we'll be with you. Is it not this one?
Yeah.
So we'll close all these ones at the background. Close here. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
But how can you move forward? Oh. You have to close this dialog box. Sorry for the small technical hitch. We are trying to sort out the presentation from the National Institute of Hydrological Services Agency. Meanwhile, may I invite the representative of the Water Users Association? Water Users Association, please. No, let him come. Yes, Alhaji Babura, come over and make the presentation, please. So. We want to go to the beginning. So do we please?
I wish to recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister for Water Resources and all participants. I will go by the existing protocol. My presentation tries to look at what has been done in practical terms on participatory irrigation management in Nigeria. The concept started virtually in 1985. And by 1986, during the commercialization and privatization policy by the Babangida administration, inaugurated a decree under the Federal Ministry of Water Resources that all river basin development authorities will be privatized. That is what brought about why irrigation management should be shared between the irrigation agency and the farmers. In that context, three types of systems operated: the farmer management, the agency farmer management, or which is called joint management, and the fully integrated irrigation transfer or irrigation management turnover. Now, the farmer management system is a system whereby the farmer owns the land, he owns his decisions, he is the manager, he is everything. And this is part of what has been discussed today in the morning by research done by my colleagues here, trying to see how can farmers be integrated to ensure that they sustain their crops, technology, and whatever. Now, the participatory irrigation management is a complex activity. It carries along the development of water user association and other activities separate. So my discussion is concerned with the water user associations. The Water User Association development started from the Ahmadu Bello University. They made a pilot research program and some trainings in 1985. This brought about the possibility of partial acceptance by the government. So by 1991, the Ford Foundation provided a grant of about $500,000, which brought about the International Irrigation Management Institute that undertook a pilot scheme in Kano River Irrigation Project and Hadejia Valley Irrigation Project. Under that scheme, farmers were trained, the scheme staff were trained, and an agency staff were also trained. That gave a foundation for developing the Water User Association. A team of consultants like Professor Yar'AduaCentre, Engineer ShehuMusa, and others provided intensive support that made the program to move forward. Thereafter, by 1993, there was a rehabilitation of an irrigation scheme in Sokoto State, the Uno Irrigation Project, by the European Union, where about $30 million was used. During the rehabilitation, the farmers were carried along right from scheme design to rehabilitation and to the conclusion of the project. Luckily enough, at that time, members of the Water User Association being trained, which I was there for 3 years with them, they were even able to develop an international production of onion. But what happened thereafter? After the expiration of the services by the European Union, the Water User Association collapsed. So there is no provision for continued capacity building and insurance of the sustainability. By 1998 through 2000, a similar project, the Sabke Dam and Irrigation Scheme in Daura, also has a component of war. I was there. I engaged 40 training staff. We worked there for 3 years. After reaching about 75% of our input, then there was a change in government. So the change in policy changed the implementation of the association. Also, it collapsed. Now, there is a substantial capacity building with the treatment project. The treatment project engaged our services from 2016 to date. We employed and trained 30 facilitators working on the scheme. In the process of the work, COVID-19 came in. Insecurity came in. So we have to disengage for about 12 months. Professor Yar'AduaCentre was there. He gave substantial input to see that the sustainability of those associations are properly maintained. Nevertheless, we were able to achieve about 9 activities. 1, farmers are now able to see that they can take over their responsibilities at secondary and tertiary levels because of the input of the training they received. Secondly, they are able now, instead of going to the court because they couldn't pay for irrigation service fees, now they can collect by themselves, deposit the same amount into the treatment account, and then into the transitional single account, the TSA account. In the first 2-3 years, the collection rate was very good. But as a result of the insecurity that evolved, we all know what is happening in Sokoto and Zamfara State. So the collection rate went extremely very low. The production rate went extremely very low. So these are some of the challenges that we need to think about. In Goronyo, which is about 112 kilometers from Sokoto, also they experience insecurity. But farmers have gained enough capacities to see that they can manage the system. They are now ready to take over from the trimming project, which the legal frameworks have been established, agreements have been developed. They have just left Abuja here for consultative training and a process of the legal agreement to take over the schemes from the trimming project. So in a nutshell, this is what I can provide. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation that has given us experiences of the water users associations in Nigeria. Let's see whether we can get the slides for the next presenter, which is the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, NISHA. Let him use the mouse. Let him use the mouse. Okay, thank you very much. We're on. We're still experiencing a bit of challenges. Like I said, the presentation is not in PowerPoint. So that's why we're having some of these challenges. But all the same, we're trying to overcome that particular problem now. We have it here, but we are not able to project it up there. Aha, there it is now. So please, the presentation is on. Thank you.
The former Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu. Please, I want to stand on the existing protocol. My name is Jabo Stephen Magima. I'm from Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, and I'm presenting this paper on behalf of the Director General, Omar Ibrahim Mohammed. Thank you very much. The topic is flooding and its mitigation and adaptation for sustainable irrigated agriculture. The brief outline of the presentation goes like this, by way of introduction: NICE Annual Flood Outlook publication, National Flood Insurance Program, flooding in Nigeria, causes of flooding, key strategic flood interventions, measures for flood mitigation strategies, flood adaptation strategies, and conclusion. We start by way of emphasizing the role of agriculture in the gross domestic product and the employment opportunities that it offers to the teeming population of Nigerians, as well as the role it plays in food security. Now, flooding has a very detrimental effect on agriculture in terms of farmlands being submerged, crops being washed away and submerged, and the effect on crop yield and the impact on food security of the nation. Now, today, we all know the impact of climate change in all facets of our lives, either in terms of its impact on water resources, agriculture, environment, livelihood, infrastructure, and so on. So today, the effect of climate change is right at our doorsteps, as occasioned by the rise in temperatures and irregular rainfall patterns, resulting in seasonal variations, flooding, soil erosion, drought, and desertification in various parts of the country and the world at large. Now, the impact of flooding on agriculture range from climate change effect, economic sector impact, agricultural vulnerability, flood forecasting, and its importance. Now, flood affect many economic sectors and agriculture. Flood affect many economic sectors, and agriculture is one of the most exposed, as agricultural activities depend directly on climatic factors. The expectation for flood forecast in terms of its magnitude and timing have notably grown with the recognition of the importance of flood forecasting and early warning as a contribution to flood management. Now, as we all know, one of the mandates of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency is flood forecasting and issuing of early warning. Just last week, the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Professor Joseph Talomun Utef, unveiled the 2025 flood outlook for the country, where the presentation was segmented into 3 major documents. Document 1 was flood forecasting, which gives the detailed scenario of flooding that is expected in the country, beginning from the month of April to November, in terms of their magnitude, those communities or areas that are expected to suffer high flood risk, as well as those that are expected to suffer moderate flood risk throughout the country. The second document focused on flood risk communication, where the third one is on flood mitigation and adaptation measures. Now, the major highlights of the flood outlook for 2025 is that 1,249 communities in 176 local government areas in 30 states, including FCT, falls within the high flood risk areas. Also, more communities and local government areas and 36 states, including FCT, is also expected to suffer moderate flood risks this year. Now, before, in the previous years of AFO, we have been focusing on forecasting based on states and local governments. But this year, being the 13th edition, we have gone far to improve the annual flood outlook this year. Instead of forecasting only state and local government, we went further to pinpoint those communities in each local government area of Nigeria and states that is expected to suffer flooding at various levels this year. Many innovative measures were also put into the annual flood outlook. For instance, the creation of a flood dashboard, whereby just punching a point, all information that concerns a particular community and detailed information about that community will appear throughout the country. We are also trying to develop a flood app whereby wherever you are located in Nigeria, whether you are in the cities or in the rural areas, you can get information either through SMS or by whatever means. You can get access to situation of flooding in Nigeria at any location and at any time. The agency also forecasts flooding on a weekly basis. That's apart from the annual flood outlook presentation, and we backed that up by public awareness and sensitization to those various communities that have been forecasted to suffer flooding at high level, depending on the availability of resources to the agency. Now, National Flood Insurance Program is one of the innovations that the agency has introduced this year by the dynamic leadership of the Director General. Now, this concept is to introduce National Flood Insurance Program by way of ameliorating the losses of people in communities that have been affected by flooding year in, year out. And the agency, in collaboration with two state governments, Kogi State and Jigawa State, with two insurance companies, are going into partnership by way of financial assistance to those people that are affected year in, year out. Now, if you look at the annual flood outlook since 2013, when the first edition was published after the 2012 flooding incident in Nigeria, not less than 30 states every year is been affected by flood at high level. And we are hoping and believing that the other state governors whose state perennially suffers flooding will key into this initiative of insurance program, so that those people that suffer loss every year in their communities can get financial compensation and help them recover from flood losses. Now, the next one is a summary of flooding in Nigeria. Flood has become a perennial disaster occurrence that is often followed by devastation, affecting greater part of the country, inflicting havoc on communities, infrastructure, agriculture, lives, livelihood, health, and education. Now, Nigeria's flooding crisis can be summarized just by a way of this timeline of devastation. Like I said, in 2012, worst flood in 50 years, affecting 7 million people in Nigeria. This flooding was also, it also occurred in 2022 at a worse level in Nigeria, where most states suffered catastrophic damages due to flooding, and almost all states in the Federation suffered the impact of this 2022 flooding. Now, we are also aware the incident in Maiduguri last year when the Alau Dam was overflooded and the entire city of Maiduguri suffered serious flooding with so much displacement and several lives were lost. Now, flood generally has detrimental impact on agriculture, causing crop damages, soil erosion, and livestock losses, leading to reduced yield, food insecurity, and economic hardship for farmers. Flooding not only creates water damage, but can also deposit large amounts of sediment, which create a serious problem for our water management in dams and in our rivers, impacting on the availability of water resources for various uses. Flood waters typically inundate farmland, making the land unworkable and preventing crops from being planted or harvested, which can lead to shortage of food both for human beings and farm animals. Therefore, effective flood management is crucial for sustainable irrigation and agricultural practices. Now, what causes flooding? Just a few of them here are given. Heavy seasonal rainfall, when you have a heavy rainfall within a short period of time, or a long, prolonged intensity of rainfall can create flooding. Climate change is also a problem that is creating erratic weather patterns, temperatures, flooding, soil erosion, and so on.
Please try to conclude. Please.
Okay, deforestation is also part of the problem. Okay, key strategic flood interventions are given here. Implementing robust early warning systems like NISA is doing, investing in infrastructure such as flood defenses, drainage systems, embankment, promoting sustainable land use, engaging local communities through awareness campaign, strengthening institutional capacities at all levels. Then measures for flood mitigation strategies, improve infrastructure, dams and reservoir construction can help regulate water flow. Diversion of runoff waters from the floodplains through creation of detention basins. River training and the silting of river channels and existing dams in the country to enhance storage and conveyance. Promotion of climate-smart agriculture. The National Agricultural Research Institute should be charged and supported to breed a climate-resilient, drought-tolerant, and flood-resistant and early maturing crops. Reforestation, wetland restoration, land use planning, investment in hydrological data gathering, community-based management, and so on. In conclusion, flooding causes a considerable threat to sustainable irrigation and agricultural practices in Nigeria through combination of mitigation and adaptation strategies ranging from improved infrastructure and reforestation to community engagement and sustainable farming practices. Nigeria can enhance its resilience against flooding. These measures not only protect agricultural productivity, but also promote the overall sustainability of water resources and food security within the country. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you very much for the presentation. Please, I want to still emphasize that it's already 1:30. We are supposed to have finished by now. And we still have two more presenters, one from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the other one from the Federal Ministry of Environment. I would like to urge them to please concentrate on what they are doing the achievements they have recorded, and a few of the challenges that are facing them, and maybe a few strategies on how to solve them. Please, let's not go into theories of irrigation, climate change, all those. Those ones have been discussed at the technical sessions. So I would like to please urge you to stick to your 10 minutes to make your presentations. The representative of the Federal Ministry of Agric, is he here? Please kindly come up. We expect his presentation to, I don't have the title here, but when you come, you tell us. Please stick to the 10 minutes.
Okay, sir. All protocol duly observed, please. I'm here to present article input provision for sustainable irrigated agriculture toward food security in Nigeria. My name is Usman Mohammed Bello, Assistant Director, Irrigation and Crop Development Division, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Introduction. Okay. Irrigation is the artificial application of water to the soil through various systems to support plant growth. Nigeria has about 3.14 million hectares of irrigable land, 60 million cubic meters of underground water, as well as 267.7 billion cubic meters of surface water. This potential provides a great opportunity for year-round farming. From the farmer's viewpoint, sustainable irrigation agriculture could be interpreted as something that provides steady, uninterrupted source of water at a price that does not exceed marginal revenue. While from the environmental point, it means only using volumes of water that can be naturally replaced within the limited time frame. Food security is crucial on global scale as it provides essential health, social, and economic advantage to the human population. Therefore, to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of Zero Hunger, that is Goal 2, it is imperative to assess the progress of food security, particularly in developing countries. Overview of challenges faced in agriculture. As the presenters have already mentioned, we know the issue of climate change. I will not want to go deeply, but we also have the issue of pest. That is pest that is affecting our crops, as well as the crop diseases. That are some of the challenges facing the irrigation agriculture in Nigeria. Current state of agriculture in Nigeria. Overview of Nigerian agricultural sector shows that crop production has the highest of about 87%, livestock 8.1%, and fishing 3.2%, while forestry goes with 1.1%. Contribution to GDP. Employment for 70% of country's workforce. Therefore, agriculture is okay. Brief activities on irrigation, agriculture, and crop development in the ministry. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has the mandate to formulate and drive policy directions in crop, livestock, fisheries production, processing, marketing, and storage of agricultural produce. While the Federal Ministry of Water Resources implements to promote water use, especially in the establishment of large-scale irrigation schemes using large bodies of water. While the Federal Ministry of Water Resources is dealing with the large scales, while the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, in its own, is mandated to work together with the farmers. Any of the issue that farmers face, they first come to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture for the intervention. So if it goes beyond, then the Federal Ministry of Agriculture will discuss with the water resources to see how to solve that problem. So we are not competing, we are always collaborating. Thank you. As such, the Federal Ministry of Water focuses on providing water for various end users and also develop large-scale irrigation infrastructures. Yes. While the irrigation agriculture in Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is equally complementing agricultural activities through irrigation farming by focusing on micro-irrigation, greenhouse development, gravity-fed crop irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, among others. Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security also provides subsidy on irrigation facilities like water pumps for irrigation and development of tubewells and borehole in tandem with the mini dam to smallholder farmers. The aim is to promote and facilitate all year-round farming with a view to increase food production, nutritional security, and raw materials availability. The ministry recently gave out over 25,000 number of irrigation water pumps. That is always been the input provided by the ministry. So recently, it has given, I think it's almost about 2 months ago, we gave about 25,000 water pumps to some of the state governors for the immediate distribution to the farmers all over. And over 40,000 of NASAC, herbicides, and pesticides, respectively, and organic fertilizers were also given to them. And from 2024 to date, more than 2,000 farmers have been benefited from the subsidized farm inputs and agrochemicals. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture usually gives subsidy about 75%, and sometimes it even gives support, that is 100% subsidy on that equipment for farmers to boost out their farming activities. The ministry also currently is planning to distribute over 250 knapsack sprayers and 350 liters of agrochemicals to various number of dehydrators, rice kits, power tillers, planters, and other things for inputs to the farmers, to the 37,000 farmers from 36 states and the FCT. That is 1,000 farmers per each of the states, including Abuja, that is about 37. Currently, that is what we are trying to. In addition, the ministry provided farmers with various trainings on modern irrigation techniques, water management practices, operation and maintenance of irrigation systems. The ministry has also been equipping the extension officers with the knowledge and resources to support farmers in implementing sustainable irrigation practices. Definition: agro input refers to the different items that are employed to improve the yields of crops, livestock, and fish. Importance of that include good crop yields and quality of the final products. When you give a very good input, so you expect the final product to be of good high quality, and the yield will also be increased.
Kindly try to conclude.
Overview.
Thank you.
The two main types of use today are drip and sprinkler irrigation. The decision for which to use depend on the factors, types, and size of the field, as well as the funds. Benefit of sustainable irrigation over the conventional. Sustainable irrigation practices contribute to preservation of ecosystem and biodiversity. Challenges of inputs, that is poor infrastructure, always give a high cost for you to transport the inputs to the farmers. So that is a challenge, and part of it is what the federal ministry is doing through some of the agencies under the ministry, like RAM, Rural Access Mobility, and then the appeals project, that is agro-processing and productivity enhancement. All these ones, they made a rural roads and other things, so it's part of it that the ministry has been doing. Then lack of access of quality seeds, but we are able to get the National Seed Council and others. So it's part of it that is trying to be solved. Then affordability issue of smallholders to get credit. Then we have the Bank of Agriculture, and the Federal Ministry is always facilitating together to join the farmers to get that loan. Then policy overview, the government policies supporting irrigated agriculture. I can show them that is part of the drainage policy strategy 2005-2015. Case study include the Kadawa Kano and then the Baccalaureate. The recommendation, improve access to quality inputs through subsidies or supports, some of the recommendation. Then invest in infrastructure to enhance distribution. Promote training and education for farmers on practices. Then conclusion, agri-input strategies are essential for agricultural productivity and are key to ensuring profitability, sustainability, and product quality. The distribution of crop production inputs represent the pivotal step toward revitalization of agricultural activities. And the last but not the least, improving food systems will require all stakeholders to join hands, including the government at federal level, the state, the local government, as well as stakeholders across the multiple sectors, including all of us and those outside, to carry out important action to change Nigeria for good food system. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gradually, we are coming towards the end of this, even though slowly. I think the last one is from the Federal Ministry of Environment. If you have the book of programs, you notice that the last one should have been the presentation from the National Agency of Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI. Unfortunately, we don't have any submissions from there for now, but we would like to invite the representative of the Federal Ministry of Environment to make his presentation. Please, since we are coming towards the end, kindly stick to your time of 10 minutes. If possible, if you're going to make it in 5 minutes, is good enough.
I'll try.
Please try so. Where is the presentation? Go back, go back, go. Okay. Yeah, I thought this one is responding to, is here, the last one. Thank you. Good. You're at home. You do like this, okay. Move forward, go. Like this, backwards.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. The Honorable Minister, permit me to stand on existing protocol. My name is Kunle Awojemila, Deputy Director, Department of Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management, Federal Ministry of Environment. I'm to present a paper on control of flooding and erosion for sustainable irrigation in Nigeria. Flooding and erosion remains two of the most critical environmental challenges confronting Nigerians today. They have become recurring environmental disasters that have extensive consequences for agricultural productivity and sustainability of irrigation infrastructure. Both phenomena contribute significantly to the degradation of arable land, thereby threatening national food security and livelihood of millions. The twin hazards have become increasingly aggravated by climate change, rapid deforestation, poor land use practices, and unregulated urban expansion. The impact of flooding and erosion in Nigeria. The ecological and socio-economic costs of flooding and erosion are vast. Flooding in Nigeria has significant impacts, including loss of life, displacement, damage to infrastructure, and disruption of livelihoods, particularly in the agricultural sector. Erosion in Nigeria significantly impacts agriculture, infrastructure, and environment, leading to food shortages, loss of land, and damage to homes and infrastructure. The most notable impact of gully erosion, which destroys arable land and vegetation. Climate change and human activities exacerbate this problem, making it a serious environmental and economic issue. The Southeast, particularly, is the most affected when we talk about gully erosion. Here, gully can develop in just a rainy season, developing into almost hundreds of meters long and meters deep. Impacts of flood. Let's take it flood first. Between 2022 and 2024, in 2022, the national estimate for 2022 flood showed that 622 persons lost their lives, 2,420,445 people were displaced, 3,174 people suffered from various degrees of injuries. And the economic damage to the country was put at 6.68 billion by the World Bank. In 2023, 33,983 people were affected nationwide. That's from NEMA, and $9 billion USD in economic damage by the National Bureau of Statistics. And in 2024, that was just passed, 740,734 were displaced, over 320 people died from flood, and about 1.3 million were affected in 217 local governments in 34 states in the country. The statistics sources are there. This is Maiduguri last year. We are all aware of what happened there. This was predicted by the Federal Ministry of Environment just like 2 or 3 days before that flood happened. Other communities that were impacted by flood, on the right-hand side, left-hand side is Makurdi, Benue State, Loko, Nasarawa State. The other one is, that's Oshobala in Ogbaru local government area of Anambra State. That's a cassava farm, and that's the next one. The other one is Sheleng in Adamawa State. That's to show you that flooding knows no bounds in the country. It affects virtually every part of the country. Erosion impact. Loss of farmland and agricultural productivity. Erosion removes fertile topsoil and creates vast unusable gullies, drastically reducing farmland and agricultural output. And when this happens, you know that it affects the amount of arable land that is available for irrigation. Threat to vegetation, infrastructural damage, environmental degradation, socio-economic impact, climate change, which contributes to problems of climate change. Coastal erosion control. In the country presently, in some places, close to 30 to 40 meters is being lost to coastal erosion. The case of Ayetoro in Ondo State is an example. There is another community, it's called Awoye. They've moved from Awoye 1 to Awoye 2, Awoye 3. So the impact is enormous.
Please try to conclude. We are running very much short of time.
Okay. Some of the impacts are what you see here. These are some of the impacts. Causes has been discussed. Urbanization. On the on my left-hand side is Lugbe in 2009, and the other one is presently. You can see what urbanization caused. That's the statistic for the agri sector. About 29.44%. That's the contribution to the GDP, and to increase this, we need irrigation. Impact of flooding, I've discussed that. Mitigation strategies. Flood control measures, dams and reservoir, levees and flood walls, floodplain management, water harvesting, and for erosion, terracing, contour farming, vegetative buffers, riprap, soil conservation practices, etc. Some initiatives by the Federal Ministry of Environment. Flood water harvesting. This is turning challenges to opportunities. In different parts of the country, particularly in the north, quite some floodwater harvesting structures have been built so that when the flood is coming, it is the floodwater is harvested and it is made available for irrigation in the dry season. Integrated watershed management, coastal zone management. Other initiatives includes the Nigerian Erosion and Watershed Management Program, which is a new map. We all are aware of the program. It's a flagship program of the Federal Ministry of Environment, and we are aware of the enormous contribution it made to reducing erosion. Another one is the agro-climatic resilience in semi-arid landscapes. What are the contributions? Financial support to the resettlement, that is for new map, monitoring of infrastructure, climate fund and green bond, gully catchment creation, sustainable land management. All these are geared towards making sure that we have enough arable land for irrigation activities. In the establishment of the agro-climatic resilience in semi-arid landscape, that is ACRISA, about 7,787.42 hectares of land in Adamawa and Kaduna have been restored. Then implementation of catchment management practice with about 44,883 hectares of hectares put under management use. So that's in June 2004 and other things. The National Flood Insurance Program, issuing from the mandate of the Federal Ministry of Environment in last year, some expert meetings have been held, and the implementation framework are being put together to roll out the implementation of this program for the whole country. It's going to serve as the way ecological fund is, in order to transfer the risk government is presently bearing.
Please conclude, please.
Yes, sir. That the government is presently bearing on control of flooding. Early warning system as run by the Federal Ministry of Environment in collaboration with UNDP. This was done with every organization, Federal Ministry of Water Resources and others. The emergency marking done. The types of we do 5-day flood early warning, and by tomorrow I think one will be issued every 5 days. For last year, the following communities were forewarned. These are just some of those communities. Like I said, I showed you the case of Maiduguri. So, fuels and sustainable irrigation. Impact of sustainable irrigation. By providing timely alerts, flood early warning systems enables farmers to take proactive measures in safeguarding irrigation infrastructures and ensuring consistent agricultural productivity. In conclusion, flooding and erosion harm food systems and the economy. Integrated solutions such as infrastructure, policy, and the community coming together is what can help solve this. Addressing flooding and erosion is crucial for sustainability of irrigation system and overall agricultural productivity in Nigeria. Continued support and cooperation from all stakeholders are essential to achieve long-term success in sustainable irrigation and environmental management through integrated strategies in policy implementation, project execution, and stakeholder collaboration. The Federal Ministry of Environment is committed to continue to partner with all relevant agencies to achieve this sustainable irrigation. Thank you very much. I leave with you. I leave you with the ray gun there for the irrigation experts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and this brings us to the end of the presentations. Unfortunately, we have already eaten more than half an hour into the lunch break. I would like to sincerely apologize that I will not be able to take questions and answers. This is because of the lack of time. But before we close, I would like to invite the Honorable Chairman of the occasion, the immediate past Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu, immediate past President of the Association of Consultant Engineers in Nigeria, and of course, the Galadiman Kazaure. You are welcome, sir.
Distinguished delegates, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to chair this session, a very, very important and very interesting session. We have had and seen presentations from one of the flagship programs of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources from 2016 to date, which is the Transforming Irrigation Management in Nigeria project, and the successes that have been recorded. And I've also had the privilege of seeing comments, mainly online from farmers in those communities, as to how successful that project has been and how it has transformed the lives of people there. and the indices that were shown by the first presenter, testimony to that. I feel very, very happy to see that that project has been successful. And I hope, as we have tried to do, that going forward, other irrigation schemes within the country will continue to enjoy the benefit of this new form of irrigation management in the country. I know that successive workshops have been held in various zones all over the country, all the geopolitical zones, to ensure that the idea of the new management process for, the trimming form of management of irrigation infrastructure is inculcated into the activities and lives of farmers all over the country. I hope this is a clear testimony, and I want you to showcase this very much so that other regions, other irrigation schemes, our river basin development authorities, the state governments and local authorities will understand the importance of this, this new way of managing irrigation infrastructure. We've also had very interesting stories from Engineer Barbara of the Water User Association. Unfortunately, our efforts, as you well know, to try to get the proper legal backing under a new consolidated water resources bill didn't yield fruit because some politicians thought it meant something else. And despite all our efforts to make the country educated about what this bill is and what it means to the people of this country, emotions prevailed over common sense. But I hope the successive people in government and in the stakeholders in the water resources sector will continue to pursue this, maybe in a more conducive atmosphere. Someday we'll see to the achievement of the water resources bill. It's a fight that I think should not be lost or should not be stopped simply because we, the promoters, having inherited it also, not that we're even the ones that initiated it, we're not able to make it happen. Interesting also has been the presentation by the National Water Resources Institute. You can see the progress that has been made in terms of capacity building, trying to build the water resource industry. I think the founders or those that initiated the establishment of this institute have done a good service to the water resources sector. I've been aware of this collaboration with universities, and until the time I left, we were also trying to get the Water Resources Institute transformed into a full-fledged water resources university. I hope the water resources foot soldiers of today will continue to pursue that so that the institute can be strengthened for it to continue to provide the relevant services to the people. Then I've seen presentations, of course, NISA, where Nigeria Hydrological Service Agency, to type, has been on course. I was very happy to see, to read in the news that there was the annual tradition of the annual flood outlook has continued, and recently there was such a presentation. But the work is still not over. We still need to work with state governments and local governments to ensure that whatever we present, whatever the Nigeria Hydrological Service presents, makes meaning to the people and they heed the warnings. Otherwise, we'll continue to see so many loss of lives year in, year out. And I would like to conclude by acknowledging the presentations of both the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Environment. I don't know if I missed any other presentation, but during our time in office, we used to call ourselves the triplets. That's Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Environment, and Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. You could see from the presentation there are overlaps, but these overlaps should not be a source of conflict. They should be a source of collaboration, as always, because at the end of the day, it's only one constituency we're serving. That's the federal government, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I would like to see a situation that this collaboration continues. We had the collaboration at very top level between the ministers during our time. especially the second term of the last administration. We've had our glitches here and there, but I think you, the bureaucrats in these ministries, must understand and appreciate that it's a collaborative effort. All ministries, in fact, all ministries, you find in one way or the other, there are some interagency or interministerial areas of cooperation and collaboration. And I hope that you continue to sustain this collaboration so that rather than being in conflict or duplicating or multiplying issues, we're actually streamlining and working for the same objective. Having said this, it's been a very, very interesting afternoon. I would like to use this opportunity also to congratulate the steering committee that worked towards getting this conference on ground, and to also thank our international participants for being here. I'm not saying this as a former minister, but also as a patron of NCID, as you know. And of course, it's a pleasure for me, having been the minister that first approved for the regional conference to take place and inaugurating the steering committee, to see that this conference has really, really been successful, as I've heard from very many participants, despite the challenges that have bedeviled us. But I think it's well noted that the steering committee has done a very good job, and there's been a lot of enthusiasm, and the quality of the presentations is superb. I thank you very much and congratulate you on this very, very important conference. And we look forward to the next conference, wherever it might be. And hopefully, if I'm still a patron, I might also be one of those that will be delegates at that particular conference. So thank you very much, and thank you for your patience, and have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and former Minister. Let me inform members that when he was the Minister for Water Resources, the day the file went to his office for the request for the approval of the conference was the day we got the approval. So you can see the level of support and cooperation that we received during his time. Before we close, I want to invite Professor Henry Igbadun to give us one or two announcements, and then we close. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. We welcome you. We thank you for sitting patiently to the end of this symposium. We're going to be back to this place. Ordinarily, we're to be back by 2:30 for the high-level policy dialogue, but we need to go for food now. And this afternoon, we did a little modification. You can only enter the hall with a ticket. So, and there are ushers out there at different points as you go through that end. I understand some of you already have the ticket, but please keep to one ticket. If you don't have yet, as you go out, ticket will be offered to you. The dignitaries are going to take this exit door. And so please don't come through this door. The rest of us will go through the other door. Once again, thank you very much. The high-level policy dialogue is a very big meeting. We expect ministers, and we expect House of Reps, representatives, quite a number of people. Their names are on that they are written here for you. You can go to the page and then get yourself set for it. It's going to be a very interesting program, which will cap up the activities, and then it will take us to the closing event tonight, by the grace of God. There is going to be gala night. That gala night is going to take place in Abuja Continental. And you need to have an invitation card to admit you in. Once again, I want to appreciate the Secretary General of ICID. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for finding it good to be here with us. I want to appreciate the high level, the high table. And please, we would like to take pictures with the presenters along with the members of the high table. Please, let's do it down here, and to be a good one. Please, all the presenters. Okay, now we're going to target, we were to start 2:30, but because now it's already 2, so let us hope by 2:45 we'll be back here for the high level. And thank you very much.